All right, so starting now, more calculator work. So B, find a linear model and the R value for the data and sketch it on the scatter plot. So we want to start finding that linear model. So on my calculator, I still have the graph. I want to go back to the home screen. So I'm going to hit second mode to go back to that home screen. I want to find a linear model. So I'm going to hit stat, right, and if we remember, we want to do stat, right 4 for this linear regression here in AX plus B form. So once again, my directions for that were stat, right 4. All right, we're going to hit enter a bunch of times till we get down to the word calculate. Hit enter one more time, and we should get this. If your screen doesn't look like this, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll help you out. So we want to write y equals AX plus B. I'm using this for my A value and that for my B value. It's very important here that on Socrative, you do not write it or type it into your computer with any commas, and you round to 2 decimal places. So y equals 147.71 x. Okay, so 147.71 x plus b. Well, since that's a negative, I can either add a negative or I can just write it as minus 514. And then my decimal would be 0.57. So there's my equation. So I've got 147.71x minus 514.57. And I also need to write down my R value. So we're going to round my R value to 2 decimals. And you can see it is 0.891. So we'll round that and it'll stay at 0.89. Okay, perfect. And the last thing we've got to do for letter B is sketch it on the scatter plot. So in order to do this, I'm going to hit y equals, bring this window back up, and I'm going to type in the equation we just found. So 147.71 x minus 514.57. As soon as that is typed into our calculator, we can hit the graph button. And notice now that line goes right through our data. If you do not see the screen, remember to hit zoom 9 and it will zoom in on exactly what we need to see. So we got to make sure that we sketch this line in our graph. So it goes through the third dot and then in between the last 2. Something just like that should work perfectly. All right, question C, find the exponential model and the R value for the data and sketch it on the scatter plot. So we are going to do a very similar step as into B. So we're going to hit stat, right, 0. Remember our directions right here, say stat, right, 0. Once again, hit enter a bunch of times till you get down to calculate, then hit enter one last time. So my equation for this one is y equals, it's going to be a times b to the x, just like we're used to, where this is my a and this is my b. And I'm going to write it how I'm used to writing it too. So y equals a, my initial value, which is 16.77. So we're going to round that number up to 77 because of that a. And then my parenthesis, then we've got to have b 1.41. Remember to round that up, then to the x, just like that says. And just write it normally how we're used to writing it. And lastly for this one, r equals, we're going to round to 2 decimal places, which ends up rounding that all the way up to 1. Don't forget here that an R value very close to a positive 1 means that the correlation is positive, going in a positive direction, and it fits the data perfectly. As we go down to 0, there's no correlation. And then as we go back to negative 1, it means we have a perfect correlation going a negative direction. we will review that topic. All right, so once we're done with this, we've got to also sketch it on the scatter plot. So hit y equals again. We're back here. Now we want to enter this in y2, so hit the cursor down 1, and now it should be flashing right in front of y2, and we've got to enter our equation. So 16.77 parenthesis 1.41 end parenthesis, and then to the, so we're going to use the exponent button, which is right here above the division sign. So to the x, and then go ahead and hit enter. My equation should be there. And let's hit graph so that we can see the graph. And lastly, don't forget to sketch this. Now our R value is 1, so that means we have a perfect correlation, which means this line should go through every single point, which it looks like it does do that. Okay, perfect. All right. So if you had any troubles finding those equations and graphing those, this is probably one of the most important things as far as the statistics go that we've learned this semester. If you have any trouble with that, go ahead and rewatch this video. If you have my picture and you've got my equations and everything looks good, then go ahead and start watching the next video.